really slow. Good job, Andy. Good job, baby. Good job, baby.
Oh, this is such a joy.
Oh my God, what a fight. Nasty. Great feed, great feed. Good job, Andy. There she goes, baby. Woo!
Growing up with Andy as my dad was everything a kid could have dreamed about. He exposed my brothers and I to such a vast spectrum, and it all revolved around having fun. From fishing downtown Miami and Fort Lauderdale bridges well into a school night, to racing motocross on the weekends. It was the most adventurous, exciting childhood a kid could have. Our house, our skiff, our motorcycle trailer, they were the center of attention for all of my friends because, frankly, they wanted to hang out with the guy in the cowboy hat, smoking a cigar. I don't remember the first time my father took me fishing, partly because it was ingrained in me at such a young age, but I do vaguely recall taking a trip to Taylor Lake on the backside of Aspen Mountain when my dad handed me a Zebco spinning rod and a bobber at the age of 3. I believe we caught and ate a couple of trout that afternoon before crawling into our sleeping bags and calling it a night. But it wasn't until I was 10 or so that I really got the fishing bug from my father. When he showed me how to tie a clinch knot and rig a culprit worm on the shank of a hook, the overwhelming sense of freedom and unknown drove me to every single golf course pond in South Florida. When thinking of my dad, I am most proud that he gives 100% into being the best he can be in every aspect of life. Whether it's fatherhood, ski racing, fly fishing, or interviewing, his desire and determination to win and achieve greatness is truly inspiring. My dad only knows one gear, and that is full throttle. He also has the biggest heart I know and is extremely generous with giving back. He deeply cares about people and the natural world around him.
It's just a dream come true to me to have Andy on my boat, and I want something special to go down. As we're leaving there, I had an idea of, okay, am I gonna go run and sit on the ocean, and of course you always get a shot at big fish and they come by, or do I go back in the backcountry and mess with middle-sized fish? And in my mind I was like, you know what, I have Andy Mill on this boat. It's a beautiful day. We don't need to catch 3. Let's worry about trying to catch one massive sea monster.
If my dad and I are not tarpon fishing, we are not fishing. All jokes aside, we love to trout fish in the summers of Colorado and fly fish for migratory sharks off Palm Beach. But if my dad had one last fish to catch, it would be waiting after a tailing bonefish at sunset. 2 years before the podcast started, I planted the idea in my dad's head that we needed to help preserve the history of saltwater fly fishing by interviewing the innovators and pioneers who paved the way forward to where we are today.
A lot of the growing era of the sophisticated saltwater fly fishing world, if I'm not mistaken.
We were lucky. Saltwater fly fishing existed at some minuscule level.
I told him it'll be just like talking to your longtime friend after a day on the water. I tried to downplay the whole idea so he wouldn't get too overwhelmed with it. His response was, I don't want to go back to work. Fast forward 24 months later, he looked at me and said, if we do this, we are going to do it right. And here we are, almost 100 episodes later, still gathering stories from important icons, guides, and anglers who have dedicated their entire life to fishing. The ultimate goal of the podcast is to help preserve and capture important stories of the trailblazers that came before us, some well-known, some unknown, before they are lost. Also, I believe it's important that our platform includes the new generation, environmental issues, and roundtable discussions about the future of our sport. Many know my father as a tarpon fly fisherman who was responsible for elevating the game to new heights, winning 5 Gold Cup tarpon tournaments, writing his celebrated book A Passion for Tarpon, and TV series Chasing Silver, but fewer know him as a champion skier. I believe his greatest achievement came in 1976 at the Olympics in Innsbruck, Austria, when he was dealing with a severely bruised boot top injury to the back of his right leg from a previous practice run. He then proceeded to bury and freeze his leg in the snow to the point where he could not feel it, slide 2 pieces of cut cardboard down his ski boot to distribute the pressure off of the injury, and limp to the starting gate. He crossed the finish line in 6th place, missing the bronze medal by 0.4 of a second, which was the second best finish by an American in an Olympic downhill at the time. He later received the Olympic Spirit Award, which is given to only one athlete in the whole Winter Olympic Games for overcoming this adversity. One afternoon, at the age of 9, while my dad was riding his bike to baseball practice, he saw something he will never forget. It was the arc of a fly line shooting across the sky at Wagner Park in Aspen. The man casting was the great Ernie Schwiebert, and minutes later, my dad had his first fly rod in hand, learning how to false cast. Years later, Ernie and my father became close friends, traveling to Alaska together, and Ernie would frequently sleep on my dad's couch to fish the Frying Pan River in Basalt. Shortly after that first casting lesson, a guy by the name of Chuck Fothergill took my dad under his wing and taught him how to tie flies and effectively fish the Roaring Fork River. My father was completely and utterly obsessed with fishing from that point forward.
Each fish is different. Each fish teaches you something new about itself, teaches you something new about you. So as an angler, having done this for 30 years, my learning curve just went up today. It was awesome. Yeah, I mean, it was really, really cool.
My dad has changed a lot as an angler over the years. I think naturally, when you are first getting started, all you want to do is catch fish, then a lot of fish, then big fish, and not until then does the how come into play. As you now know, my father started off chasing trout in the surrounding rivers outside of Aspen at an early age. In 1986, he was invited to go to Belize and be on the TV show Fly Fishing the World with John Barrett, and there he saw a tarpon eat his fly for the first time. It was like being electrocuted, my dad said. He went back to Florida and started booking trips with Bob Branham and later Harry Spear, primarily trying to master tarpon on fly. He wanted to be the best, catch more, win all the tournaments, and hold the records, and he did just that. Now, at 70 years of age, he doesn't even want to catch a fish. He cuts the bend off the hook while trout fishing and tries to break tarpon off close to the boat. Grabbing a fish is not even part of his journey anymore.